If you are exploring the option of starting a career in cybersecurity, this video is for you. In this video, I'll do a deep dive into the 5 different aspects which I think define a good tech career. We'll be looking at aspects like average salary, number of jobs available, and much more. And number 4 in the list is what I think is the most important. So let's get started. So the number one factor which most people look at is what is the average salary for that career. And for that, I've used the website talent.com to explore what is the average and median salary for different tech roles. When we look at the average salary overall, the salary is about $47,000, which is closer to the median salary in the US overall, which is not very high, but you have to keep into account that it includes a lot of not so technical roles like data entry and tech support roles. So comparing it against the average salary for cybersecurity, which is about $122,000, this makes cybersecurity a much better tech career. Another thing which you can compare it against is the average salary for software engineer. It is about $128,000, very close to cybersecurity careers. But the data there is a little bit skewed because cybersecurity is still a relevantly newer field, especially if you compare it against general software engineering. So when we look at the average salaries for the software engineers, it includes people who have 40 years of experience as well as the newcomer. Whereas when you look at average salary for the cybersecurity, most of these people have less than 10 years of experience. So overall, I would say salary-wise, it checks the box. It is a good career. Now let's look at the second thing which most people care about, and that how many jobs for this role are available. We can do a quick and easy search on LinkedIn jobs by just entering cybersecurity and seeing how many jobs are available across the US for this role. As we can see, there are about 52,000 positions available. And if you compare it against other roles like data science, ML, DevOps, these are almost equivalent. So it has a very healthy number of available jobs, even in today's tough tech market. So it also checks that box as well. We can also verify that fact by looking at the websites like Statista, which have listed the number of available roles in 2020 as well as their projections in the year 2030 for different job categories. And even here we can see that cybersecurity has a good chunk of jobs available. Now another dimension which I think is super important is that what is the number of applicants available against each job. Now this is the data which I was not able to find in any job report. So I have to do a little bit of my own data analysis on this one. And the reason why I think this aspect is very important is that even if you find something which has 100 times more roles available, if it has like 1,000 times more number of applicants available, then it doesn't really matter because for each position, there'll be just so many applicants. And this is what we are currently seeing in different job categories like full stack developer. There are so many job positions available, but there's just so much more number of applicants, making it much more saturated. Now to do this analysis, I looked at LinkedIn jobs and I applied some filters just so that I could control for some variables like geography, etc. So I only looked at roles which are within San Francisco Bay Area. I only look for jobs which were posted in the last 24 hours. Now, even when I apply this filter, I see some jobs which were reposted in the last 24 hours. So I excluded them and I only looked at jobs which are fresh posted in the last 24 hours. And then I only looked at the entry-level roles. And then with these jobs, I was looking at how many applicants were there on average for different job roles. So when I look at cybersecurity, I see that for the roles which were posted in San Francisco Bay Area for cybersecurity in the last 24 hours, there was about 6.25 per job. When I look at data scientist, there are about 10 applicants. The number further increases for DevOps and Python. So when I look at the overall competition, it looks like cybersecurity still does not have a lot of competition and is a very healthy field to get into. So it also checks that box. Now coming to the fourth point, which I said in the intro of the video, I think is the most important, is what is the projected growth for this tech career. And the reason which I think this is the most important one is that even if we see that there are few roles and a lot of competition and lower salary, which is not the case for cybersecurity, but even if it is the case. If there is a lot of growth projected in the future years, then the salary will automatically grow. The number of jobs will automatically grow in the future, and the competition will also become less. So that is why I think this one factor alone is the most important factor if you have to just pick one aspect. So with that in mind, let's see what is the projected growth for cybersecurity. Again, going back to the reports from Statista, where they have shown that what is the number of jobs available for each job category in the year 2020 and in the year 2030, we can see that cybersecurity in terms of percentage growth has a projected 31% growth, which is much more than any other roles listed here. So for this dimension of growth, which I think is the most important one, cybersecurity is clearly the winner. The fifth dimension, which I want to touch on, is the availability of credible certifications. And the reason I think this is a very important factor to consider is that especially for people who are new to the tech industry and do not have any heavy credentials with them, gaining some certifications not only provide you a structured learning path, but it also helps you get some credible credentials, which you can use to land your first jobs. And in cybersecurity, we have some very good beginner level certifications like CompTIA Security Plus, which has an average salary of about $81,000. And then there are some advanced certifications like CISSP and OSCP, which have average salaries of 100K plus. So cybersecurity definitely checks this fifth box as well. Now there is another dimension which I think is very important, but I haven't listed here, is that of your own personal interest. And since it varies from person to person, I have not listed here for this analysis. But that is one thing you should very heavily take into account as you are exploring what is the most viable career path for you. I've created a separate video on the topic of what I think are the top 6 career paths within the tech industry which do not very heavily require coding. The link for that video should be somewhere here. I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Thank you so much for watching.